Vladdy Jr. to the Sox?
Give me a little more into this because I can't get there. So help me out.
It's from widely trusted source, an MLB insider, Bob Nightengale, wrote that if the Blue Jays do not sign Guerrero to an extension before spring training, he will test free agency next winter, and if he hits the open market, the expectation is that Guerrero would join the Boston Red Sox heading into 2026. Bob Nightengale went on to reference comments made by his friends who said that he would reportedly love to play in Boston. Which, you can never go wrong there, right? If the friends are saying it, it must be on the verge of happening.
Sources. I don't think Bob's got any sources.
How would you even go about finding the friends of Vladimir Guerrero Jr.?
He's got no sources.
Can we? Well, I think people just gloss over that and like, oh yeah, you're talking to his friends. How would you go? Assuming they're still they're in the DR. How do you go about tracking those people down?
I don't know how. Look, I'm not trying to hate. Things are just done differently in the DR.
No, for sure. I'm talking more about Nightengale.
Yeah, that's what I see videos of Vlad Sr. just hanging out, wearing he's got a little belly now, and he's just hanging out wearing a polo and basketball shorts,
as he should,
at an outdoor table, and he's just hanging out with people, and they're just listening to music, and he's just vibing barefoot. You're just okay, yeah, you're just soaking it in. Is Bob down there? You're telling me Bob's going down there and seeking out friends of Vladdy? Who are you calling them? Are they picking up your call, Bob?
No, no. He's not. There's no way he's going to the DR. You know what I think of when I think of
Bob? He has frosted tips, doesn't he?
Who, Nightengale?
Yeah. Look up a picture.
Get out of here.
I think he's got frosted tips.
There's no way he has frosted tips. Get out of here. No, maybe. No, I think he's just a blonde. It's like a bleach blonde guy. I don't know. I'm not going to comment on his hair. I don't know what's going on there. What I do know though is what I think of when I think of Bob Nightengale in the DR. It's Toby from The Office saying that he's going to Costa Rica. It's that's just not a fit that I see happening. Breaks
his neck the first day.
Yeah, he says, I'll go to Costa Rica when I'm 65. That's Bob Nightengale. That's what I see.
Watching Entourage in Spanish in the hospital.
Yeah, that's Bob for you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. I don't know. Anyway, back to
let's talk about
the landing spot.
Let's talk about the fit, the potential fit. First of all, before we even get to fit, the money side of it.
Yeah, first, I don't see him getting an extension before spring training.
No, he has made it abundantly clear.
They're nowhere near the number he's wanting.
$100 million short of what he's asking for.
That's a big number.
I could not be more convinced that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. does not want to play in Toronto beyond this season.
Yeah.
He could not be making it more clear. The Blue Jays could have offered $750 million, and he said, thanks, but I'm looking for $800 million. That's what I genuinely believe to be going on here. So I'm not gonna be caught off guard or shocked at what he says yes or no to in terms of contract. And frankly, I don't think him saying that he's asking for $450 million is entirely accurate. I think if the Red Sox, we'll just use the Red Sox for this scenario because that's who's rumored to be somewhat connected. If the Red Sox came out and said, we'll offer you $360, my bet is that assuming all other offers are comparable, he's taking that tomorrow. Because I just don't think he wants to play in Toronto anymore.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, why would you want to play in Toronto? Like, I know they kind of get laughed at as like the little brother of Major League Baseball because it's literally Toronto and nobody else.
I've heard good things about the city.
No, for sure. And comment is less about the city itself and more about just the organization. It just seems, I don't know. I just feel like you're out of the loop up there.
They have severely botched all of this. All of the youth, the core, the opportunities to extend, they have royally botched this to the point where you got guys that want out. And yeah, there's no way he signs an extension before spring training. I would go ahead and assume you maximize an offer before the deadline. That's when he's going to be most sought after. And I'm curious to see what team is in what position. I can't really specifically think of too many other suitors right off the top of my head.
The Mets, I mean depending upon what happens with the Alonso situation.
Feels like the Northeast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I can't see like a Seattle pulling that trigger.
No, and I think you and I, last time we talked about it, I think you and I differed on this, but I personally don't feel as though the Yankees are in the mix here.
I think they're going to be in the running.
Sure, for themselves, but in terms of what Vladdy's
what
looking
he prefers,
for, I don't think.
I don't know.
I don't think. Again, going back to his comments back, what was it, last year's deadline, where he's like, I take back what I said. The Yankees are this. That was a business move.
Yeah, it was a business move. I think what's crazy is that, like, not crazy. What's difficult about having him land there is that, like, his dad played during the era of hating, like, everyone hated the Yankees. And so I think, with his dad obviously being advising him in these scenarios, like, there's probably some bias there. So I think they're going to be in the hunt. I think that you will read about them being one of the 5 to 7 teams that are, pursuing him next offseason. But what I mean is there a team that is willing to take a shot at him as a rental and they're in a good position around the deadline next year? And is that a Red Sox team that is performing well in the hunt? Let's try and get him to fall in love with this team and city during a postseason run to give us somewhat of an advantage during the negotiations of free agency. Maybe. Or is it some kind of surprise team that says, hey, like, let's go grab him for a few months. We probably won't be able to re-sign him, but let's see what we can do with him in this short, little home stretch of the season. So I'm curious to see it, but he's got to hit free agency, right? I mean,
certainly.
It's weird, man. Like, I feel like we have an idea of players, and then when that time comes of them hitting free agency, you almost like walk it back a little bit and you start hearing all these details of like their issues. You know what I mean? Like, before this free agency, I was like, oh, Bregman's going to get whatever he wants. Like, there's going to be multiple suitors. He's probably going to sign somewhere pretty quickly. And then you start to deep dive, like, you remove the name out of it and you deep dive into numbers and you look at age and you just start looking at things as time goes. You're like, oh, well, now I see why. Like Pete Alonso, what did the Mets offer him? Like 90 mil?
What was that offer?
It was something terrible.
No, but that's what I'm saying though, is these guys careers, these guys' numbers are even more so under the microscope during the offseason because that's all people do and that's all they have time for is they just sit around. Like, how can we dissect every angle of this guy? And these organizations more so are looking for ways that they can dissect and warrant or justify offering X, Y, or Z.
Sure.
In order to compete for one of these free agents or put a trade package together for one of these guys that they're after.
I have issues with Vlad. He's 25. Yeah. I have issues with Vlad in Boston just because of you're going to go ahead and assume that this is I can't see anything under 8 years. It wouldn't make any sense for anything under 8 years. And then you're in a position where Devers is and Vlad, Vlad's not gonna be playing first base at 32. I don't see that. He's gonna be a full-time DH by 30.
Well, something would have to give if he ends up in Boston because
that's what I mean.
Rafi's got the first leg in to the DH slot before Vladdy, I would imagine.
So, do the Red Sox, make a run at that and say, hey, if we get a ring before then, before that issue comes up, we get a ring or two, who cares? We'll deal with that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Is it worth it in their eyes? I'm trying to think of other suitors, man. Like, I definitely could see the Mets, him, Soto, Lindor, as like a 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4 situation. Yeah, that could work.